Imagine flying through a cave so dark you can't see your own hand, let alone your wings. Would you crash in the first second? Or could you thread a needle between stalactites at full speed? Bats do it every night. How? With a superpower that doesn't use light at all. So what replaces eyes in pitch black? Sound. But wait, how can sound see? They fire tiny ultrasonic shots, then read the echoes like radar. Simple, right? But how sharp is this sound sight? Sharp enough to pick out a mosquito from the background. And some species can detect objects thinner than a human hair, faster than a blink. So what makes their ears and brains that good? Today, we're not just watching bats, we're borrowing their superpower. Ready to learn to see with your ears? Welcome to WildFact Lab, where we decode the wildest animal abilities and turn weird into wow. Today's mission: how do bats see with sound? And what can we learn from their secret sense? First question: what exactly is echolocation? It's nature's night vision. Bats emit high-frequency calls, listen for the echoes, and the brain builds a live 3D map. Next question: if it's just sound, why can't we do it as well? Because bats push sound into the ultrasonic, far above human hearing, and their ears and brains are tuned like Formula One sensors. So what does that buy them? Precision, target distance, size, even texture. Think, is that a leaf, a branch, or a moth? Some call at around 100,000 hertz. Your dog won't hear it, but a moth definitely will. Which raises the next question. If prey can hear the attack, how do bats still win? That's the arms race we'll unpack. Plus how this tech inspired submarines, medical imaging, and even blind humans who click to navigate. By the end, you'll know why sometimes the smartest way to see the world is to listen. Ready to step into the dark? So, who exactly is the star of our story? The bat. One of nature's most misunderstood animals. Did you know there are over 1,400 species of bats worldwide? That makes them the second most diverse order of mammals after rodents. From tiny bumblebee bats weighing less than a penny to massive flying foxes with wingspans longer than your arm, bats have adapted to nearly every environment: caves, forests, deserts, and even bustling city streets. But here's the big question. If bats already have eyes, why rely so heavily on echolocation? Imagine flying at night through a forest thick with branches. Even with good eyesight, would you trust your eyes alone? At midnight, even the sharpest vision is basically useless. It's like trying to drive down a foggy highway with your headlights off. You might spot a shape, but you'd hit it before you knew it was there. So bats needed something better, something faster, something sharper. And evolution gave them echolocation. This isn't just survival, it's mastery. With sound as their guide, bats don't stumble in the dark, they own it. But how does a squeak become a map? And how can a brain turn echoes into vision? That's where Echolocation 101 begins. Okay, let's break it down. What exactly is echolocation? At its core, it's using sound to see. Simple to say, but mind-blowing to experience. Here's how it works. A bat sends out a rapid burst of high-frequency squeaks or clicks. Those sound waves travel outward until, bam, they hit something. A wall, a leaf, or maybe a juicy mosquito. Instantly, the sound bounces back as an echo. The bat's oversized ears catch it, and the brain does something extraordinary. It calculates how far away the object is, how big it is, even what shape it has. Think of it like shouting in a dark room. You'd hear your voice bounce back differently if there's a couch, a wall, or an open doorway. Now imagine doing that hundreds of times per second, building a mental blueprint of the entire room in real time. That's exactly what bats do every night. They're basically generating a live 3D sound map of their surroundings. And here's the kicker. They can update that map faster than you can blink. But how does their body produce such powerful calls? And why can't we hear them? To answer that, we need to peek under the hood at bat anatomy and the science behind their sonic toolkit. So how does a bat's body actually pull off this acoustic magic trick? It all starts deep in the throat with the larynx. That's where bats generate their ultrasonic calls. Some species send the sound straight out of their mouths, while others use elaborate facial structures called noseleaves to beam the sound like a living satellite dish. Why the different setups? Because different habitats demand different strategies. Forest bats need tight, focused beams to weave between branches, while open-air hunters can blast their calls farther. Once the sound is out, the real artistry happens at the ears. Bat ears aren't just big, they're sculpted like satellite dishes, tuned to catch the faintest echo. Some species can even wiggle their ears to change angles, sharpening their audio resolution. And here's where it gets wild. Humans hear up to about 20,000 hertz. Dogs reach maybe 45,000 hertz. But some bats scream at frequencies above 100,000 hertz. So high-pitched, it's utterly silent to us. Their brains then process these echoes in milliseconds, calculating distance, direction, even motion. It's like having a supercomputer hardwired into their skull. But what does this sonic sixth sense actually let them do in the real world? That's where the true superpowers come alive. Now that we know how bats echolocate, the next question is, what can they actually do with this ability? The answer: almost anything you'd expect from nighttime superheroes. First, and most famously, hunting. Imagine trying to catch a mosquito in the dark, mid-air, with only your ears. Impossible for us, but bats do it flawlessly. Some species snap up hundreds of insects in a single night. Their sonar is so sharp they can distinguish between a moth's flutter and the hum of a mosquito's wings, like telling two voices apart in a noisy crowd. But hunting is just the beginning. Echolocation also lets bats pull off obstacle avoidance at high speed. Picture a cave filled with stalactites or a forest tangled with branches. Where we'd crash instantly, bats weave through at full throttle, guided by nothing but sound. It's like threading a needle while sprinting blindfolded. And here's a twist you might not expect. Echolocation is also used for communication. Bats can adjust their calls to chat with each other, sending signals about territory, food, even identity. So echolocation isn't just a hunting tool. It's a language, a navigation system, and a radar all rolled into one. But how did nature create such a marvel? Evolution has a story to tell. So how did bats get this super sense in the first place? The answer lies in evolution's creativity. Millions of years ago, bats split into different families, each adapting their calls to match their environment. Forest-dwelling bats develop short, quick pulses that bounce back rapidly, perfect for dodging trees. Open-air hunters, they went with longer, slower calls that travel farther, great for spotting prey in wide skies. In other words, every bat fine-tuned its sonar to the terrain of life. But bats aren't alone. Dolphins evolved their own version of echolocation underwater, proving that nature loves to recycle great ideas. Still, the adaptations in bats go beyond variety. They enter the realm of biological warfare. Some moths, for instance, evolved the ability to jam bat sonar, blasting out counterclicks to confuse their pursuers. The result? A spy v spy arms race in the night sky. And bats fought back, evolving calls that can cut through the noise or strategies that outsmart their noisy prey. It's a constant evolutionary chess match, each move pushing both predator and prey to new extremes. But here's the kicker. Humans have been watching and copying. What inventions did we steal from the bat's playbook? Here's where things get really fascinating, because humans couldn't resist stealing a page from the bat's playbook. The idea that you could see with sound inspired some of our most important technologies. Ever heard of sonar? Submarines use it to navigate the deep ocean, bouncing sound waves off obstacles the same way bats do in caves. And in hospitals, ultrasound imaging relies on the same principle. Sound waves create echoes that form a picture of what's hidden inside the body. In both cases, it's pure bat science, adapted for us. But here's a twist you might not expect. Some humans can learn echolocation too. Blind individuals have trained themselves to use tongue clicks, listening to the echoes off walls, cars, even doorways. It's not as sharp as a bat's sonar, but it's powerful enough to ride a bike through a city street. Yes, you heard that right. Riding a bike with sound instead of sight. So if bats can inspire submarines, medical scanners, and even new ways for humans to navigate, the next big question is obvious. What else could we invent if we learn to listen the way bats do? And that brings us to the big takeaway. So, what have we discovered in this journey through the dark? That bats aren't clumsy cave dwellers or spooky Halloween props. They're acoustic engineers of evolution. With echolocation, they've mastered the night sky, catching prey smaller than a raindrop, weaving through forests at top speed, and even outsmarting prey that tries to fight back. And the lesson? Sometimes the sharpest vision doesn't come from eyes at all. It comes from paying attention to what's already there. The subtle echoes, the hidden vibrations, the whispers in the dark. Or, as we like to say, sometimes the best way to see the world is to listen. Now here's where you come in. What animal superpower should we explore next? The shockwave punch of the mantis shrimp? The magnetic compass of migratory birds? Or something even stranger? Drop your ideas down in the comments. I'd love to see where your curiosity takes us next. Thanks for diving into the dark with us. If you enjoyed unraveling the secret science of bats, don't let the journey stop here. For more wild science, hit subscribe and join the lab. It's the best way to make sure you never miss the next discovery. And speaking of next time, ever wondered how sharks can sense electricity? Or how snakes see heat? Those are coming up, and trust me, you won't want to miss them. Until then, keep your ears open, your mind curious, and we'll see you in the next adventure.